Alright everyone, so I'm gonna try this. I don't know how well it's gonna work. The only way I can figure out how to stream to YouTube now is through my phone. But what I want to do with you is I want to go through the Transformers The Last Night preview, which we just got to see. And very excited about it. And I hope this gets out to as many people as possible. But because there was a lot of people that didn't even get into the preview because they oversold the tickets, or not sold, they gave out more tickets than were available in the theater, in my theater that I saw it at, which was in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. 93.3 WMMR, which is one of the biggest radio stations in Philadelphia, was there, and they were giving out prizes, and they were doing some Transformers trivia to give out prizes. And before they got to do that, the preview started automatically after they got a couple prizes in, and then they gave out the larger prizes at the end. Which the biggest prize was a trip to see the premiere in the US, wherever that is, whenever that happens, because it's to be determined right now. But it was only available to the people in the theater who were there from who won tickets through the radio station. So unfortunately, someone like me wasn't even entered in for that drawing. But that was a really nice prize that they had. They did give out a couple things while you were going into the theater, and I do have them there. They had a Transformers The Last Night, and it says when it's in theaters. Unfortunately, I was in back of the line, or towards the back of the line, because of traffic on the Pennsylvania Turnpike. I was delayed about an hour, so I got a medium. I'm not a medium. I don't think I'm going to fit into the shirt, but that's all they had when I got up to the counter. They also had a little USB hub that says Transformers The Last Night. And I'm just going through this stuff real quick because I know you guys want to get into the actual movie and get some more explanation than we've had in the past. And then I also got this really nice poster that doesn't look like Transformers at all, but it says every legend hides a secret. So you got that poster as well. So the movie starts, or the preview starts, and the first thing you have is Michael Bay talking about how he really enjoyed making the film, and this is the fifth one, and he keeps saying that he's not going to do any more, but he enjoys doing them. He also enjoys probably getting paid a lot of money to do them. So that's the first thing. Then we open up on the actual scene, and the first scene that we have is a Braveheart style old war. Just, knights, and it's obviously old times that they're fighting in. There's King Arthur and his court, and they're fighting against the other side. And you see King Arthur saying that Merlin's going to come soon, and he's apparently going to help them end this battle that they have. And a couple of the other guys there were saying Merlin's no good, Merlin's, horrible, he's this, he's that. And King Arthur says, yes, he is all that, plus what I say he is. And then you get a picture of Merlin on a horse drinking. And that's pretty much where they move into the next scene. And the next scene is there's the four groups of kids that go into that sports complex, which I would say is probably in Chicago, because apparently no one rebuilds in Transformers. There's just this, Chicago is still just as messed up as it was since the end of Transformers 3, Dark of the Moon. And these four kids are going into the stadium, and they find a spaceship. You see Squeaks on the side, kind of watching what's going on, and they're looking in the spaceship, and they see a Autobot, or not an Autobot. They see a Transformer, just in there, kind of not conscious or dead. But then they're found that this is a restricted area, So then they're noticed that they're in this area. And the one important thing I think I need to say is, which was a little bit weird for me, Transformers are still the enemy. So it doesn't matter, Autobot, Decepticon, they're all, the government still does not like them. They hunt them. Uh, and that's what happens. These kids are in this restricted area. They're found out, and they were about to be. It almost looks like they were about to be shot uh, by because they had red lasers on them, or maybe those were just targeting mechanisms. But out comes Isabel to distract the giant robots that are like AT-ATs, um, to distract them so they could get away. And they get away, and Isabel leads them to an area which it looks like is just a little cavern. Um, this is spoilers, just to say, yes, this is spoilers. But they hit up a cavern, and then they're safe there. And you see Sparks shows up, his arm got blown off. You find out Isabel she can fix stuff. I don't want to say she's an inventor like Mark Wahlberg or Cade, but she can fix stuff. And she says she's going to fix Squeaks so he can transform. But Squeaks is a baby about it. So I guess it hurts when he fixes her. Well, then the cover that they're under, which looked like a building or a structure, stands up, and it's that Autobot we've seen in some of the previews, and then he gets shot by the other like AT-ATs that were walking around because they realize it's a transformer and they're hunting him. So they shoot that transformer, which is probably an Autobot, because it's helping Isabel. And Isabel says that transformer is family. And the first time I could not understand the name that she was saying. The second time, I believe she said Canopy, which is kind of funny because he had like this canopy on his back, basically just stones and rubble, and that's how she was hiding. And that's how they were all hiding. So Canopy gets shot. She says, "You can't die," to Canopy, and then you see Mark Wahlberg come in and get the kids into the truck or into the Jeep, and Bumblebee also comes in, and that's at the point where he rips apart one of the AT-ATs. So the next scene is them going to the junkyard. The 4 kids that were originally there are no longer there, so there may have been a little bit of a cut in between. And we go to the junkyard, and we see Grimlock chomping down, munching metal on a car, and Cade's yelling at him to spit it out, and basically he must be in hiding somewhere, so he's supposed to go back to hiding. And he has to spit it out, and Grimlock is basically just like a junkyard dog that munches metal. He doesn't transform in this preview. He doesn't do anything. Then, after that, you see Isabel following Cade around saying that, that was my only family that I just lost, Canopy, and that she has nowhere to go, and she can fix stuff, and she wants to stay and fight and be useful. And Cade's like, "You can't fight this. There's nothing you can do." They must have been tracked back to the junkyard because the government starts flying stuff in, or what we assume is the government, starts flying little, it's a, like a Predator drone, and you see the Predator drone go overhead, and then Cade hits the warning button, and the lights start going off, and they have like 30 seconds to evacuate. And then they start to evacuate, and you see Cade getting chased by what look like little TIE fighters. Bunch of little TIE fighters that the government sends out, and they run into a church and run up the church, and they shoot a couple of the TIE fighters down, and then they get barricaded in a room, and then somehow they get into an elevator with and I forget the guy's name, Cayman, which is the Anthony Hopkins robot assistant. And now he is just a regular robot. He is human sized, if not a little bit smaller, but very strong. He starts fighting Mark Wahlberg in the elevator. And then when Crosshairs comes around, he actually breaks Crosshair's finger. So that was one of the other dumb things, is that Crosshairs is still a jerk and was still fighting Bumblebee in the background at the junkyard scene. Just because, I mean, I don't know why not. Um, but somehow Cade gets thrown out the window of this church, and Cayman goes down to get him. Mark Wahlberg flies one of the, or not really flies, jumps on one of the drones and crashes that in the ground. And now they're on the ground, and Cayman, I'm saying Cayman, I forget his name, the Anthony Hopkins assistant. He goes down to Cade and puts on this thing on his arm and says, "You don't know how important you are. You have to come with me. If you stay with your friends are going to be hurt." And so they take Cayman takes Cabe now to England, I guess you would say, to meet Sir Anthony Hopkins, who is a little crazy. They come up, and there's a tank that transforms into a robot that tried to fire on Bumblebee and Cade as they come up. And Anthony Hopkins says, "No, they're guests." I don't know Anthony Hopkins' name, so he's just Anthony Hopkins, Sir Anthony Hopkins. And after they come up and the robot transforms and fires upon them, he's basically like, "Oh, he's an old transformer. He still thinks it's like 1900s." So that's one of the transformers that Anthony Hopkins has other than his assistant. And then, as they're there, you see Hot Rod coming up, and Hot Rod transforms, and the girl pops out. And I'm gonna call this girl English. Um, I'm sorry, blanked, totally blanked. Uh, the girl from the original Transformers movie, I can't think of her name, because she looks just like her. So she transforms in, or she transforms. She's fighting off Hot Rod, or I guess she was taken there also against her will, and she's rolling down the hill. And Anthony Hopkins goes, "There's a good fight in her." So now they go into Anthony Hopkins' castle, and Anthony Hopkins starts saying, "This is where. Don't you want to know why the Transformers always come here?" And he was talking about the knights at the round table, and how there's 12 knights, but there was also 12 Transformers that were knights that stood behind the knights at the round table. So at this point, you're led to believe that the arm bracket that went onto Cade indicates that he is the last knight. And then the other thing that's a little annoying is Hot Rod speaks French, or he's trying to speak French in this preview. I don't know why. That is a little annoying about the preview. And then after that, now that we got the base story, or more than that we've got before, then they start to show just like clips of all the previews that have been in the movie. So that's pretty much it. I might be forgetting something, but I just wanted to bring this to you guys and try to explain what we saw in the preview, maybe fill in a little bit of gaps. Definitely check us out tomorrow if you're watching this recording now. If you watch this recording tonight, tomorrow we'll talk about it more live on RFC, which is at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, and you can go to tfradio.net/live to watch that. Thanks to MMR for giving me a shout out in the movie theater, which was really cool. And thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.